What's going on, everyone? Today Hygger sent over an electric vacuum gravel cleaner. It was given to me for free, but they did not tell me what to say in this video, so everything you're going to hear is from my own opinion. And basically it's a, like a Python gravel vacuum cleaner, but it's electric, so it has an electric motor in it that can pump water out. So let's get straight to it. When you first open the box, you immediately get the manual, which shows you, the stats on it. I believe I have the HG955 model, which is 20 watts. Maximum height it can pump water is 3 meters or almost 10 feet. Flow max is 396 gallons per hour. Voltage is going to be 12 volts. So I'm kind of wondering if it's speed adjustable, but we'll see here in a second. Line length is 5 meters or 16.4 feet. And the outlet is 16 millimeter, so any of your 16 millimeter hoses you use for canister filters or pythons and stuff will work on it. In case you do want to extend it, I'm sure that's probably possible. And then other than that, in here it shows you all the different attachments that are on there, and then even different configurations for different types of cleaning or pumping water back into the aquarium. It's basically all possible with this. So right here we have the pump and cord. So let me try to get this out here. Hold on 1 second. So right here we have pump. One side's threaded and the other side looks like it's like a slip connection. And then a cord with a, looks like going to be like a waterproof connection for the power. Here's the other side. Okay, so it's not speed adjustable. It just has an on-off switch, but that's fine. We get some corrugated hose and then a whole bag of attachments right here. We have another attachment right there. And, this is your typical thing that you would see for gravel cleaner slash water change accessories. Even comes with a little sponge in there, and if you kind of twist it and open, it's not actually threaded, but it's just kind of squeezed on there. You can take the sponge out too to clean it, or if you want to remove it, that's also fine. Oh, and this piece right here also has kind of small holes in it, so if you have like large gravel, there's no way it's going to get sucked up and stuck into the motor and ends up breaking stuff. Right here's another type of filter. This one is screw-on and has a rubber seal on it. So there's a coarse sponge in there and a fine sponge. Put that back so you can clean those or replace them if needed, or take them completely out if you don't want them there. And then we have a big bag of all kinds of fittings. This looks like it could be the handle, suction cups, some extra O-rings, even get like a bristle type cleaning head because you can scrub rocks and that kind of stuff with it. Clip, not sure what this attachment is yet. Kind of like a outflow head, more clips, looks like some kind of strainer, possibly for the pump, a T-fitting, more clips, and another adapter. So I think really the possibilities of how you want to set this up is endless, so it is kind of nice to give you that flexibility. But let's just look at a setup in here and try to duplicate it. Alright, let's start with just a simple setup that you can use for, let's say you have a bucket of water and you want to do a water change and pump it into the aquarium instead of pouring it in. Or if you have like a bare bottom tank and you want to do a quick water change, I would probably set up something like this. You have the pump and this is kind of a strainer head so it can sit on the bottom without restricting the water flow. And then there's also little rubber feet that you can put on the bottom right here. They're in this baggie with the 2 extra O-rings. So you have 2 extra spare O-rings. There's O-rings on all kinds of parts. There's O-rings here. I believe this one had a bigger O-ring. There's no spare for that. This piece right here has an O-ring. But anyway, let's grab these suction cups right here. I don't know if they're per se like suction cups. I think it's mostly just for vibrations and kind of elevating the bottom of this pump from the bottom. I have to go find that O-ring. One of them fell off the table. So these can just slip in here and then push back to the outside. Now the rubber feet are installed. So with the rubber feet installed, it will kind of, elevate it from the bottom of your surface just like that, and it can suck water from the sides and from the bottom, and you can just set it down. It does actually create a suction. Oh, actually works so well, the pump came off. This is just a slip fitting, and one of the feet just came off. So it does have suction cups and they work pretty well. So yeah, if you have like a bucket or a bare bottom tank, what I would do is set it up like this, put this in the bottom of the tank, and then use these extensions right here, which you need to get this adapter fitting right here first, put that on, and then this can thread onto that piece right there. It's not really going to matter how many you need, but if you need extra length, there's more of these. You just keep on threading them on. Just for demonstration purpose, I'm just going to do one. These clips can go around right here, and then you kind of have a place for the cable management to go, so you can put this here and kind of keeps the cable neat coming out of the tank or out of your bucket. And then at the end you can do the hose adapter right here, which has a nice 45-degree angle on it. Screw that all the way on, and now you can attach your hose to it. So just like that, you have a simple way of pumping water out of a bucket, or like I said, if you have like a bare bottom tank and no sand can get sucked in here, you can just set this in the bottom of the aquarium and pump water out of here into a container or down a drain or whatever your setup is going to be like. So from this setup, keeping it like that, like I said, you can do multiple extensions right there, but you can take this off right here, and then there's different attachments as well that you can use to suck it up. So this one is kind of like a, kind of like an outflow, so this would also work well for a bare bottom tank. There is one here with like a little strainer on it, so don't have to worry about fish getting in there or anything like that. That's another option. Maybe get into tight corners and stuff like that with the 45-degree angle that's on there. And then there is a brush type. I think this will be handy for, if you have a bunch of algae on your rock, you can probably kind of scrub it and suck it all up at the same time. Just attach it like that. And then this one is probably the one I'm going to be using the most. Sand and gravel, won't be able to get sucked into the pump, but just attaches just like that. And then I would be keeping the filter in just so sand can't get past that, even though it has the tiny holes. Tater's sand is pretty fine, so that might cause some issues. But like Gilbert's tank, I probably don't need the sponge. I'll probably still leave it in. But Gilbert's sand is a lot more coarse, so it's not going to get past that first screen that's in here. I'm going to show you one more way to set this up. We're just going to take this off and then take the 90-degree off right here. Instead of this, we're going to do the T-fitting. This will be a different type of use case right here. Oh, and actually this is not a T-fitting. It's closed off right here at the top, so it's just a 90-degree elbow basically. The reason there's threads on top right here, which you actually don't need that O-ring at all. Might actually be able to take that off and save it for later in case you need an extra O-ring. But you can attach a handle to it right here. So no water is going to go flow that way. It's only going to come out this 90-degree bend right here. And what the 90-degree bend is for is this little attachment with the 90-degree on it. So that slips in there and it has the two filters in there. And what you can do now is kind of recirculate the water back into the tank. So let's say you were cleaning a bunch of sand, but you want to get like debris out of the sand or gravel. You can put this attachment on, suck it up. Sand's not going to get past this first sponge, but small debris are going to get caught in there, and any other debris will end up in here and just recirculate it. So you can pick up a bunch of detritus or other things, and this will work with other attachments as well. You can suck up the water here, fish poop, detritus, whatever, and it'll get filtered back out here, and then water will come back out. Now you're not really doing a water change then, but you can still pick up a bunch of debris and remove it from the water that way. So another clever idea. And then again, you can make this handle longer if you want it to be longer. If you have like a deep, bigger tank, you can keep adding these extensions on it to make it longer, whatever your use case is. So yeah, I'm gonna suck up some of Tater's eggs right now, and we'll show you how it works. The first configuration I'm going to show you guys is if you have the pump right here, I'm going to use this attachment right there, and then I'm going to use the little T-fitting. I already put the handle on top of it right here, but water comes out of this fitting right here, and then we can attach this little filter, and it'll basically recirculate water back into the tank. So I already did a big water change on Tater's tank yesterday, like 50%. And kind of did like a deep cleaning behind the rocks and the wood and stuff like that. And there's still some detritus. The tank was pretty cloudy, and the detritus like settled again. So I don't per se really want to do another water change. I just want to, suck up some of Tater's poop and the detritus that has, settled on the ground again. So we're going to put this T-fitting on just like this. Make sure it's tight and the O-ring is being compressed. And then yeah, you can suck stuff up here. It will get kind of caught here. Whatever gets past it will get stuck in these two filters. But the water will flow and then automatically fall back into the tank. So we're not really doing a water change. We're just sucking up debris and removing it that way from the tank versus sucking it all out and having to do a water change. So the main reason I'm leaving this sponge in right here is mostly just for sand being sucked up. I don't want to get through the motor. Otherwise you can remove it, and the filters up here will catch up your debris, which probably be easier to remove because as soon as I turn the pump off, it'll probably fall back down. So I kind of have to make sure I angle it up and pull it out. I'll show that at the end. But Tater sand's not too easy to suck up with this pump, which is nice, but if you were to dig it in just like this, it will suck up a bunch of sand. So I just don't want that to go through the impeller because that can damage it. But as you can see right here, there's water coming out of the little top thingy, so we just suck all this debris up. There's some poop, some snail shells, a bunch of settled detritus right behind these plants, and most of this stuff is just going to get caught in these little filters. So this becoming a little bit cloudy because some of the water is still has the really fine particles left over, but that's fine for what I'm trying to do here. Not too worried about the nitrates in this tank because I do pretty big water changes on her tank, but just want to help it out a little bit and get majority of this detritus out of here and pick up our larger parts, which is mostly just poops. They're like little nuggets, little tater tots basically. So basically what you want to do now, if you're using the filter in there, you don't want to just pull it out of the water and turn it off because everything is going to lose suction. It's just going to fall straight back out into your tank where you just sucked up. So kind of what I like to do, I'm just going to pull it up and basically point that thing in the air so nothing can fall off and turn off at the same time. Alright, so I already showed you how you can do the recirculation pump on the Hygger Gravel Vac, and now I have it set up by just unscrewing the T that went right here, and we put a 45-degree angle on there, and then you get this black plastic corrugated hose that comes with it. And now you can just do like a normal water change. You can just leave that in there. And I only have one extension on there and then the 45, which is plenty. You could probably do shorter if you want to have your hand in the water. If not, this is fine. And it still comes with 3 extra pieces. So, I mean, you can really clean some deep fish tanks if you don't want to get your hands wet. Probably deeper than most people probably have, but this is a 40-gallon breeder. I think it's 16 inches deep or so. So it's not very deep. And this is plenty. I only need one little extension on there. So now we're just gonna decent amount of fish poop and detritus back here. It pumps up pretty quick. I'm just filling up a 5-gallon bucket down below the camera, so you can't see that. But this is gonna be real time on how fast this sucks up the water and all the debris back here. I'm doing a 10-gallon water change today, so I'm just gonna fill 2 buckets. And then I'll show you also how you can pump water out of the bucket back into the aquarium with this, with a different attachment. So I'll show that in a little bit. We're already halfway full on a 5-gallon bucket, so about 2.5 gallons. Now the pump is a little bit big. I mean, the little clear thing on there is not, so you can still kind of reach in, like you can see right here. I'm getting kind of like behind this piece of driftwood in the back wall. But the pump itself is pretty big, so it's gonna be hard to get in like, very, very tight areas, but it works well. So we got some dead leaves in there as well. So we're almost full now. Now the pump can almost come out completely out of the water and still be sucking water up. So it's actually not sucking up any water from these holes on the side. It says to keep it submerged. Oh, 5 gallons full. So in instructions, it does tell you to keep the pump completely submerged. I'm not sure if that actually pulls in water for cooling. Just keep that in mind, but it technically doesn't need to be completely submerged for it to suck water up, since it's just coming out of the bottom piece right here where this connects. So it's just sucking water through here and not through the fins. It doesn't lose suction or anything if that goes above the water line. Like I said, they said keep the pump in the water. It's probably for cooling purposes, so you don't damage it. Something to keep in mind. So I'm just switching the hose over to the second 5-gallon bucket, and we'll do a little time lapse on this with a timer on the screen. Just turning it on right now. So another thing I think this is super useful for is if you just pull off, your attachment, put the strainer on right here. Now you can throw it in like a bucket or in a tank as well. If you have like a tank with no substrate, just a bottom tank, you can just throw this in there. Fish shouldn't get sucked up in there unless you have like fry or something, but then you should probably not be using this anyway. But this also prevents, this actually from getting to the bottom, being flush and not be able to suck water up. But you can just throw this in a tank like this and start pumping. Now this is going to go a little bit slower since you have head pressure now. It has to go up 3-4 feet just to be able to put the water in. but this prevents you from having to lift buckets up. Let's not spray Tater with all this water. You can kind of see what kind of water flow we're getting here. I would say this is probably about 3, maybe 4 feet of head pressure to get over the lip of this. So it's not the fastest, but you know, instead of having to lift up these buckets and pouring it over the rim, this works pretty well. So we're about 1/3 done now with the bucket. So yeah, it's a nice little pump. You have multiple attachments. I probably won't be using these 3 as much for, you know, my use case, but there's tons of different ways you can set this up. It fits all kinds of needs. Like I mentioned before, I probably wouldn't be using this in the smallest tanks, but you know, if you have something a little bit larger that can fit this pump easily, then it will be totally fine. Or 5-gallon buckets. It's nice they have all the filter sponge attachments as well to keep stuff clean. And let me grab the last attachment right here. The recirculation is great, it works well. The only thing is, if you're pumping water from a bucket up, it's a little bit slower, as you saw, but that's just from the head pressure. Most pumps are going to do that. They're going to flow faster out of the tank than going back into the tank if they have to fight against gravity. That's just normal. So yeah, I mean, overall, it's a nice little pump. It's not too crazy expensive, especially compared to a Python, and I think you have more use cases for it. You're also not wasting water with a Python versus like a Python system where the water has to be flowing out of your drain just to create the suction, which wastes a lot of water in the end of it. So it's better in that aspect. And honestly, I think you should have both. I use still the Python. I'm going to put a link down below for the system from Hygger, and there's a coupon code for 5% off and free shipping. It's O_my_puff, just like my channel name. I'll put it down below. And if you like this video and you want to see more unboxings and stuff like that, make sure to subscribe and like this video. Thanks.